Well, this is classic Dengeld activity. For example, last week we saw Theresa May wrongly throw at them £20 billion over 2 years to remain in the customs union, to remain in the single market. And what happens? They come back asking for 10 billion of things which they, the EU, have agreed to pay people in the past. This is quite wrong. In a negotiation, you should never offer anything unless you're getting something in return. That point's been made today by Richard Tice, a businessman, in an article, and I think he's absolutely right, as is John Longworth, who spoke earlier. You know, we need to negotiate properly. I think you need someone like Digby Jones in charge of this negotiation rather than Theresa May and David Davis, because they clearly don't know how to negotiate. We should have a strategy for coming out of those talks with no deal, properly organised strategies so that they know we mean business and they will negotiate properly.
But we're talking about the pensions of thousands of people who work in the EU, those civil servants. And of course, we have been a member of the EU for quite some time. Surely we do have a liability, at least for that bill.
Yes, but we contributed billions and billions over these years, way above what we got out of it. And these agreements were all made by the EU. At the same time, the EU has never run their budgets properly. They spend millions on private jets for the president and vice president. They've not been signed off by accountants for years and years, over 15 years, I think. Therefore, we don't have any liabilities at all. Article 50 makes that clear. It doesn't say anything about any payoffs or anything. This is like leaving a club you've been a member of that hasn't worked out. We leave, we pay up till we leave, but then we leave, and we shouldn't be paying more.
Here we are with these negotiations. There seems to be a stumbling block over this divorce bill and this pensions bill. Are we going to reach yet another deadlock before we've really got underway? What do you make of these negotiations? Would you be advising the British government now to say, look, forget it. If you're not going to talk about anything else, because we definitely want to talk about trade along with all the other divorce issues, what would your advice to the British government be now, bearing in mind the reaction from the EU?
Well, I think they should approach it like a proper business negotiation. So we should have a plan B, which means walking off and having no deal. We used to say no deal was better than a bad deal. We're not saying that at the moment. We've offered them 20 billion. They come back with, oh, we want 10 billion for this as well, plus a so-called divorce bill to add to the pot. I think we need to have a plan B. We can say, unless we talk properly, we're going to walk. We may want to actually walk out, perhaps at Christmas, perhaps just after, and say we are planning to exit without a deal and let them come back to the negotiating table. We are open to a free trade agreement with them. It would actually benefit Europe more than it benefits us to have a free trade agreement. That will cost nothing. We could do that. Those are the things we should be putting on the table, not offering them 20 billion, because all they think is, oh, Britain's weak, Britain's crumbling. Let's talk about 10 billion we need for the Eurocrats' pensions. Let's talk about other money that we can get out of them. This is not a negotiation. Let's get someone like Digby Jones in there to show them how to negotiate.